I don't know, man. I feel in my mind the two pieces are swedged together. It sounds right. Now just remember that your Cadillac Escalade, it's just a Tahoe with leather seats. It's just a Tahoe with leather seats. You know who you are if you kind of chuckle at that comment. So anyways, RC Guy Garage. I'm just happy, man. I'm happy. This, for me, just for me, throwing the regular Kaiju tires and wheels on the EXT, this thing right here, throwing those tires and wheels literally brought me back to the sound, the feel, everything except for the fact I noticed the extra 2 inches of length in the chassis. I actually do. And believe it or not, I think it's a positive. So anyways, today on RC Guy Garage, we got our batteries here in the fireproof safe box here, just in case. Somebody called Sergeant J's Adventures, or Sergeant J's Adventures RC. I think that's how it goes. He just recently had a serious meltdown of a couple LiPo battery packs and 2 chargers I think he lost. I think he lost 2 packs and 2 chargers.
They were sitting on a container right here in the LiPo bag, facing the wall. So like, it looks like whenever it went up, it shot out with the wall and kind of just smoke went up like this because it didn't really go anywhere. It got contained by the bag, so that was dope. Now I just got to clean up everything. Lessons learned.
It was inside his house. Go head over to Sergeant J's Adventures and go, hey man, I heard what happened. Are you all right? So anyways, back to what we're doing today. So today on RC Guy Garage, I go put these down here with nice and safe. We are going to access this area right here. Or actually, should I say, we're going to access this area right here, technically from underneath, if I remember correctly. Now, the way I do my diffs, this is the only reason why I tell people that this is the way I do it. This might not necessarily be for you, but this works for me. This is, obviously, the ceramic brake stuff bleeding out through, this area because it's kind of semi-open, but I'm okay with that. Quick little wipe of some stuff, and it cleans up if I feel it's an issue, but stuff does not stick to it. So I'm pretty happy with that. I am feeling a little bit of a raised up section there, so I might just pop this off anyway, just to get to that area. I know I've got to take out these screws anyway, just to release the, well, actually, no, I don't. I'm not actually getting to that, am I? So well, wait a minute. I almost forget how to take this apart. So I have got to release that section in there, because I'm not dealing with the rear diff. So the rear diff is just a couple screws and that thing pops out. I want to get the center diff out, which means I got to separate the rear end from the chassis, which is very similar to how Traxxas does it. So the way Red Cat does it as well, you have a center chassis, then you've got a rear section, and you've got a front section. So I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws there. And I don't think it's anything else underneath. I think it's just the 6 screws, and maybe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I believe this whole thing will pull off. So that's the route that I'm going to go. So we're going to pull off 4 screws there, pull off 6 screws there, and then we'll see if we can separate this rear half from the center chassis. Access that, actually, you know what, there are 2 more screws in there. There's 2 more screws holding the carrier bearing on. But then we'll see if we can access this and pull it away and then check out the center diff and see what's going on, because as my hair begins to dry, maybe that's going to be the RC Guy Garage podcast, Tony. While my hair begins to dry, I don't know. I just, you got those one-liners, Tony's got that, while my battery's charged. Mine could be, while my hair dries. So, I don't know, guys. So, just to make this a little bit easier here, And then, like I said, I'm going to pop out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Going to pop those out, and from memory, I believe all I have to do is kind of like pick up on that once it's kind of like separated. And then on the bottom, fairly confident right now, it's just the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 screws possibly for that carrier bearing cover. What the heck is it called? What the heck is it called? Retainer? I don't know. But I think that's what it is. I'm going to take off the wheels, though, first, just to make it easier. And my wheels were, my wheel nuts were loose, so thread lock is a definite, kind of like how I said. So thread lock, for me, is an absolute definite. I don't know why I'm wasting my time putting these wheel nuts on, because I'm not gonna. Alright, so like I said, I believe it's just those 6. And I am going to use my driver just to make it easy. Damn, this thing bites. So again, like I said, I believe it's those 6 screws. And then I think it's just the 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 2 underneath holding that carrier bearing retainer. And actually, no, to get to the carrier bearing retainer, I gotta pull that thing. Maybe I don't have to. You know, I've never tried it this way before. I wonder if I even have to do that. Yeah, you know what, man? I think I might have to. Never mind. You gotta take out all the screws. Kind of a bummer. Just remember when you're doing this, the 2 longer screws, these ones, go towards that back. Screw wanted to really hold on. So, looks like it's alright. So this is also where you can get contaminants in the diff. So it is always a good idea just to kind of like clean this area. Alright, pop this out. So, yeah, that's looking mint. Now somebody was saying that this grease must cause a lot of, what did they say? A lot of friction. The thing is that it doesn't. If you understand how this grease works and how when you slam the ground, this might be the way that you want to go too, but, you know, you do you. I'll do this and you do what you got to do. Does this disconnect? It does. Yes. That was actually way easier than I thought. Oh, that's a riot. All right, so I want to make sure that I'm going to take this, I'm going to slap it back on. I don't know, man. Maybe I didn't have to. No, I definitely did because it locks in. Never mind. So I did have to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these screws and just pop it in, just so it kind of like stays together and doesn't cause issues with any contaminants by accident. So I just pop that in, and that way that kind of like just stays together. I'm going to leave the rear differential alone for now, and I'm going to try an experiment. So I am actually liking the way the rear diff feels. It has seemingly a good amount of slip in it and kind of traction. So I'm going to leave it. It feels good. But the center diff, no. The center diff definitely, in my opinion, it needs some help. The way this thing is right now, it's slipping. It's just, well, not slipping. It's bleeding or transferring too much power to the front. So now I should only have to take off 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, pop off this cover, this little carrier thing, and we'll be able to get to that center diff. And that is with a 2.0 millimeter. Oh! Just don't go backwards with it, like I just did. Fortunately, it was loose enough. Man, almost just ruined it. Now, just so you don't get confused, I mean, you know this. Just go ahead and just put your screws back in so that there's no confusion and or loss in case you don't have, you know, a good memory. Like what's happening to me. Yeah. Those these out. Looks like these screws might be the same size. All right. Now you can pop this cover off. Get a look inside of there. There's a little bit of grit, but I don't know if that's a big deal. Pop this little thingamajigger out. Let's get a look at this gear. Gear looks good. I'm not seeing any issues with that. Bearing feels mint. This bearing is mint. There is grit. So there's definitely grit, just like the Traxxas Max and obviously the Traxxas Max V2. So there is grit getting beyond that. So that's probably something that, you know, I'll vacuum out. I'll vacuum out this area just to get rid of that junk. But with a plastic chassis, you kind of have to expect stuff getting in. If I remember correctly, too, I thought there was like an odd entryway that things were getting in. So you can see even right there, I'm going to take a vacuum and I'm going to clean all this whole area up. I can see what I'm saying? This is where it's a benefit. I can actually see just a slight little something of my orange grease kind of protecting that area. And I like that. That's why I use it, man. That's why I use it. Let's grab a paper towel and set this thing up, crack this diff open, and see what we got here. It's definitely very loose. It feels about the same. Feels almost the same as the rear differential. So I'm gonna pop this open and see what we can see. Got a new thing here. So my wife was throwing away this cutting board, and she's very correct. So this is a tech tip from rcguygarage. Your cutting boards, get rid of them, especially these kinds, because after a while, cutting chicken and stuff, this was washed through the dishwasher. You can see all the lines are trapping probably all contaminated food. So guess what? She threw it out, and I brought it down here. That's what she hates about me. She loves me, but she hates me. All right, we're going to crack this bad boy open. She doesn't hate me. She just... I don't know, I see value, like, in everything, so I have, like, a major problem when it comes to stuff like that. Everything, for some reason, has a value. So So I'm going to, because everything's going to get cleaned, I don't think I'm going to worry about cleaning. Ah, see, this is where Red Cat has got things right, man. Look at even inside of here. See what I'm saying, man? Now, people are freaking out. Red Cat's a piece of crap. Who does that? Oh, come on. I know you can see what I'm talking about. Who does that? I know Hobao does. You see what's inside of there, right? Check it out. An O-ring to stop or limit drive shaft issues. That is stinking awesome. Just those little minor things sometimes count. And this is where I'm saying. People like, you know, obviously on board the Red Cat kill 'em all train, but at least they're making efforts. These little tiny things make a difference. So, I'm going to crack this open. You know what? I am going to clean this off. I'm going to take a vacuum to it, get all the junk off. Just makes it a little bit better so that I know less contaminants are going to get inside this diff. Being a certain amount of cleanly is a good thing. A certain amount. I'm not all about not being careful and clean with my stuff. So there was some residual stuff on there. So this gear obviously is a swedged, Alexa, what is the definition for swedged?
As a verb, sweat is usually defined as...
No, Alexa, no. Is,
I'm not quite sure how
Alexa,
to help you with that.
Is swedged a real word?
Here's something I found on dictionary.com. Swed.
Nah, Alexa, stop. I guess it's not a real word. Swedged. I think it is, though. It's when two things are, like, slammed into each other. Swedged. I think it's... I don't know, man. It sounds like a real word to me. All right. Let's see what we got here. Swedged. The gear is swedged onto the plastic. I swear it's a real word. You know, I gotta ask my phone. Okay, Google. Is swedged a real word?
Here's the definition of sweat.
No.
Exude sweat.
Alexa, no. I mean, oh my God. All right, I think I'm gonna...
No is usually
stop, Alexa, stop.
Express dissent, denial,
Alexa, stop.
refusal.
Come on, biometrics. You know what I look like. The heck? All right. Is swedged a real word? S-W-E-D-G-E-D. Swedged. Swedged. To shape metal using a hammer or other force. Okay, I guess. Well, yeah, I guess not. Guess I'm using the wrong... I knew it had something to do with metalworking. Like, forged in fire type stuff. Alright, so it's not what I thought it was. Swedged. What is... I ended up at a massive swedge game. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Man, I totally just swedged the other day. Never mind. It's my... Wait a minute. It said something about garage. The Garage Journal. What is swedging? The process... swedging is the process of changing the diameter of metal tubing. Some of the metal baseball bats are produced using a swedging process. Usually it is done to join two pieces of by expanding the diameter of one. All right. Well, I mean, I was close enough. I'm still going to call it swedged. It's the RC Guy Garage word. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got. Oh, we got a seal. Oh. Not a bad thing, but yeah, that is really not enough fluid in my opinion. So we're going to go ahead and clean that out. And I want to check and see what this stuff actually is. Or at least kind of see if I can get an idea. Yeah. Maybe 100. Maybe 500. I don't know. That's really not enough fluid, I want to say, in the diff. That's liquid metal. I mean, things... Make sure you wear gloves when you do this crap. It looks all right in there. It's just, that's not enough fluid for how I am intending to drive this vehicle. So, gasket looks like it's pretty good. Got to be careful with it not to tear it. So I'm going to use a razor blade just to release it because I want to be able to pop these gears out. And if you don't take this out, you risk the possibility of ripping that thing there. So I'm going to go ahead and tip this over. I just want to pull the gears out just to get a look and see what's going on here. Let's probably tip that way. So I need a razor blade. Like I said, make sure you just got everything within reach, because then you can just like reach over and grab what you need. So no razor blade in there. No razor blade in there. I like to have everything within a reasonable reach. And there it is. Just a little to the right. Alright, so the fluid did... Oh, it's not even a... Never mind. I thought that was my... I thought that was my blade. Where did my blade go? I just had it too, because I was doing... Oh, oh my god. Do you want to see where it is? It's that close to me. It was literally right there. Alright. So, just want to get underneath, wherever it's loose. Because not knowing what this gasket material is, I just don't want this to get torn, if that's a possibility. Okay, that looks cool. So it is wanting to hold right there. Lift it off of there very, very carefully. I don't want this gasket to rip. Watch me rip it. There we go. Nice and careful. Lift it away. So you can see it did want to stick to that area right there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these gears out. See what we're looking at. Oh, check that out, dude! Look at that. Red Cat has got a handle on how to get these gears out. Check it out. Whoosh. Red Cat, dude. You guys are awesome. I like that. Shoo. Look at that. That's mint. I like that. That is pretty stinking cool. I like the idea of that. All right, so those should just dump out. The simple pleasures in life. All right, just make sure you're wearing gloves when you do this junk. Make sure you clean off your tools. I'm gonna grab a fresh paper towel. Gonna have a clean area to work on right here. So I'm gonna put all of this in some fluid just to go ahead and clean this off, because that's that is seemingly fairly discolored. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in my little bowl here. I got my dog bowl. I used to use a concoction of all kinds of chemicals, which is not good to mix your chemicals together. But I used to use like diesel, gas, carb cleaner, lacquer thinner, whatever I had. And then if I had an enamel reducer, if I was painting, like enamel reducer. So now, this bowl is kind of a little bit too big, but it's all I got right now. So just go like that. My wife is very proactive with our toothbrushes, so she's always throwing them away and replacing with new ones. So I would suggest that, you know, you do that yourself. Take your toothbrush and just use your toothbrush as your thing that cleans stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and just swirl this around. I'll be back once this is all cleaned up. Just, this is more of a releasing agent. Not, well, I mean, it is a cleaner, but it does take agitation. But I figured I should show this. I almost kind of forgot, because this is kind of like showing you taking apart the differential. So it does have, obviously, a sun gear. You got to pop your pin. Your pin will come out once you rotate it to one of the slots. And then inside of here, we've got a really good size shim. And then on that back side, we've got a nice, good size O-ring, which I'm not going to put in the juice. And I'm not even going to bother putting the shim in the juice either. So this can just get cleaned by hand. Inside of here, there's nothing else other than just pulling the shaft out, which seems great. And I'm just going to go ahead and wipe this out with a paper towel and clean this just by a paper towel as well. So that was it. Now I'm just going to clean up the gears and then I'll be back. Boy, I'm getting bad at this. There's also this sun gear. So same thing. This side of the sun gear. Go ahead and pop this off if I can. Let me get a pick. There's a lot of suction from the fluid. So, sun gear. And it looks like it's the same thing, a pin with probably a good size single shim, I'm guessing. Come on. Get off. So just a single good size shim. Again, I'm not going to put that in the juice. And then for here, oh, just lost the bearing. So again, same scenario. You got the little O-ring right there that seals the diff juice from coming out. So that's it. Well, all right. All right, so we're back. This thing has 36 stinking pieces. Two little surprises. So this shim right here, this was a surprise. This was actually stuck behind this bearing. So they took the time to actually shim this thing out. These two shims right here were a double that were located behind either door number 1 or door number 2. When I pulled them out, they were so stuck together that it came out as one shim. So what I am going to do, and I don't normally do it, is I'm going to break open the manual. And the only reason why is because that was, like I said, that was the surprise, and I didn't notice what side it came from. So as far as this manual being detailed, let's see if there's any kind of detail in this manual that shows anything about a parts explosion. And I kind of suspect that there's a no. And I'll show you why. Yeah, no parts explosion. That's what I thought. So what I am going to do, I'm going to go online right now. I could throw this thing together, but because this thing is operating like perfectly, I want to make sure that I place the two shims that were supposed to be together. I want to make sure that I place those on the right side of the gear set. In one respect, I feel as though it may be this side. I'm not positive though. So that's where it says right here, important links. The most recent version of this manual with exploded views and parts list is at redcatracing.com pages manual. And there's a electric manual PDF. I think maybe that's what you're supposed to go to. So I'm going to go over and check it out. All right, so what I'm going to do is do exactly what it said. It said, you can see a couple of things I've been doing there. www.redcatracing.com and then /manuals, I think it said. I'm going to just try that. Haha, check it out. I've never seen this before. This is the first time seeing this. Got the Camo X4. I'm going to actually have to look into the Camo X4 because that was something that I was kind of talking about. So we are looking for Kaiju EXT manual parts though, right? We'll open up manual just to see. Is it manual or parts? Probably wrecking it already. Alright, so any exploded views? No. No exploded views, so... Oh, wait a minute. So, way down, it lists parts. Ah, there we go. Exploded views. So I'm going to explode this. And I literally, this is the right diff. You got to be stinking kidding me. Ah, look at what it does. This is center differential. And it's only showing oh man, I'm not liking that. So that is the exploded view of the center differential, and it's actually not showing the shims. You know what? I did take the sun gear off of the spur or ring gear, the ring gear side of this differential, which you could call the spur. Maybe that's the side that had the shims. Ah, man, that's kind of a bummer. But you can see all the pieces parts, but they're not showing. Yeah, they're not showing the shim process. So either way, there was still a shim, which is kind of weird when you think about it, because man, I'm gonna have to figure this out. Maybe it was only supposed to have one shim and somehow I ended up with two, but isn't that kind of weird that my center diff had a shim in between the bearing and that piece on the cup side. So there was a shim between the bearing and the cup. And then I believe on the gear side is where was the two shims. And that's where if I had left the camera going during the cleanup process, I might have seen it. Okay, so that was it. Back to the show. All right, so the online manual didn't really do what I was hoping. When I go for differential fluid, I do have some, I think Traxxas stuff. Is this Traxxas? Is this Traxxas? I don't know if this is Traxxas or not. Can't read it. This might be Traxxas. I'm not positive. I initially thought to myself I was going to go with 1 million. But with how this truck is, and because of the size tires that I've got on it, and how the Traxxas Max really reacts very well to this right here. So this is 20 million fluid that a subscriber, James George, actually sent me, which was stinking awesome. And this thing was filled right to the top. And I think I've got about maybe a third left. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use 20 million diff fluid just because the Traxxas Max has that, and I've done this in other vehicles and it seems to react very well. So that's, I think, the route that I'm going to go. Now, the only reason why I wouldn't want to go that route is because when you're using a thicker fluid, you're locking things up, but you're also you're kind of almost creating more gear force. So that's where it's a tough decision. So it's either going to be 1 million or 20 million. And it's pointing me to go with 20 mil. So I'm going to go ahead and throw 20 mil in there. As far as the shims go, I don't know. I guess maybe what I should do is look at how the shims look and see if I can determine what shim went with what. I mean, I can tell. I think that might be the pin side. Might be. Or that might be the pin side. See, what you have to do is you have to like line it up. So this might be the pin side. This shim has an overall appearance. So that looks like that was possibly... you know what? I think I might be figuring it out. I'm not sure. I think that one was for there. And this one... See, this definitely looks like it was there. So this might be this one because you can see the size of that. And that would be on the shafted side. Crap. I wish I had seen. I kind of almost don't think it's going to matter in a way, I think. It definitely looks as though these pieces were together. Just by the way you're seeing rub marks on both shims. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw those together like that. Just double check this. The O-ring, I think, is what made that mark. Yeah, the O-ring made that mark. And the sun gear and the pin made that mark. By the way this is looking, it does look as though the double side shim pack, just based upon what I'm seeing, does look as though the double side shim pack was in there. And I think that's what I'm going to go with. So that kind of determined it right there. So this obviously longer shaft was going this way. Like I said, normally what I do is I'll use like an assembly lube when I put stuff like this together, because obviously this being a bushing, that is a piece that is going to wear out. So I use a shock oil as an assembly lube when I put differentials together like this. So wherever my 20 weight shock oil is, that's what I use as my assembly lube right here. So you could do this a couple of different ways. Put a little bit on the shaft, let it run down, and then basically now it's lubricated. So that's where that was, like that. So then this had one O-ring, and I determined that this was the side that had the two shims just based upon what my eyes see. So I'm going to go ahead and settle that O-ring down and in using a driver that's not on my table. A couple of different ways that you can do that, but I'm going to try this way first. And is it deep enough? Seems like push it all the way in like that. And that's mint. So that's good like that. I will then put another drop, because now I want to put my pin in. And that's where the sun gear is going to settle onto. I should probably clean these. These things are nasty. Alright. So keeping in mind, rotate it so that the hole is that way. It just makes it easier for installation. Just like that. I'm going to place one of the cleaned sun gears right on. And in my mind, what it does is, just by using the lubrication, is that it gets in between those shims and it just keeps things nice. Now I know once I put the 20 mil in there, it's just, this is just the way, like, in my mind that I do it. And like I said, it definitely 100% works for me. So I'm going to go with that right there. This side right here, we're going to essentially do the same thing. O-ring, squeeze that in place. Obviously we're going to use the shim. We'll put it on the same way, which is that way right there. Make sure you put the bearing on. And this side did not have a shim. So again, you could do it this way. Put a little drop of oil that way. Again, this is just the way I do it. It's because it lubricates that bushing. At least in my mind, that's what it does. So, whoops. It contaminates the bushing because I'm not paying attention here. I just went to go look at the camera. So then I'll take that shim, keeping that O-ring side down. Take my pin, slide that in. And I'll just slide it off. Now, if it doesn't settle, that just means your pin moved. So there we go. So I'll definitely be happy with that right there. Now, each one of these does have its own little piece. And if you really, really look at it, I believe these go one way or the other. And what I want to say, and I'm not positive though, and that's where maybe looking at these pieces will make a difference. Looks like it doesn't make a difference, but from what my eyes, I think, are seeing, it almost seems as though these are cupped a little bit. And I think I want to place, and I'm not positive, but I think what I want to do is place, because each one of these shims definitely appears to have a ridge. I could be wrong. It's almost like a teacup. See what I'm saying? See how, like, on this side? I don't know if you can even see that. But there's like an edge that goes all the way around that is like cupped like a teacup. See what I'm doing is I'm looking at these pieces here, seeing how the rub is. And it almost does appear as though, that cupped section is faced to this piece. And that's just the route that I'm going to go ahead and go. So again, just for me, this is just what I do. I just use an assembly lube as I'm usually putting things together. It's just in my mind, I feel like it helps. So I'm going to go ahead and put the worn section to that side. Put on one of these pieces. Same thing on this side. Put the worn section towards the gear. Put on one of these pieces. And I go ahead and I'm going to drop it into place. Would be a lot easier if... So I kind of like the idea that this does that. Seems like it almost makes it so you can get it aligned. So there we go. Now, right now, I'm going to go ahead and rotate that shaft so that it's facing up. I want to make sure that the flat is facing up. I'll do the same thing with this, just a little bit of assembly lube. Make sure that that teacup is facing towards the outside. I mean, nothing is telling me, nothing's saying any other thing other than what I'm seeing with my eyes. Put these pieces on. Now, I will just attempt to drop this into place. Might have to use a pair of needle nose. Or not. Yeah. Piece just needs to rotate just a touch. Slide that into its little slot. Make sure that I rotate the flat down to fit. Come on, guy. Get in there. There we go. There we go. That looks stinking awesome. Yeah, I like that. Now, the hard part about this 20 mil is obviously because it's so thick. It doesn't really settle, or it takes a very, very long time to settle down and in. So I'm just going to kind of guesstimate how much I'm going to need. And I'm going to take about, say that much. And I'm going to squish it in and down. And that's what I'm going to stick with. I'm not going to do anything else. The other... See, what happens is that once you put the sun gear on, the part that becomes difficult is because this needs time to settle down and in. What I could have done is I probably could have taken this stuff and put it in first and then settled down the gears, would mush it together. Which maybe that's what I can do. Because right now, I believe this stuff should be all stuck together. Let's flip it. See what happens. See if I can flip this and put it in. Check it out. It might actually work. So that's the issue that I usually always have with this stuff is, yeah, check that out. There we go. That's the ticket, man. I've never done that before. That's the ticket. You flip it. Oh, that's mint. Check that out. Check that out. Dude, that's perfect. It's the RC Guy Garage flip method. Wow. Damn, that stuff is locked. Well, I guess we're going to find out whether this actually works or not. But that is definitely, that is the right way to do it. I'm not going to put any more fluid in there than that. I think it needs a little bit of air. If anything, once the sun gear is on there, that's going to be mint. All right. That's perfect. Wow. Learned something new. I've never done that before. That's usually I just let it settle and come back in like a day. Not today, people. All right. Go ahead and pop this gasket on here. And literally just flop it over. Now, it does have little locating holes, which is pretty stinking awesome. You kind of can't screw up. Oh, can you? I think that's it. Just want to make sure that the sun gear is settled on there. Oh, damn, that diff is locked. It feels like it's too thick, but it actually might not be too thick. Now, I'm going to go easy when I put these screws in, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to damage anything. Wow, doing it that way was actually mint. Do the cross pattern. I let the diff kind of float in my hand so that it will spin out. Once it gets down to a tight little section, you can see I just let it spin out. And I'll tighten it by hand the rest of the way. All right. Good there. And I'll just go around and just kind of tighten it down. That's the way to do it, man. I just taught myself something. Never even thought about doing it that way before. Because usually you let the fluid settle. When you're using like 100, 500, or even 1 mil, you just let it settle. But man, doing it that way with the 20 mil, that worked out mint. What's also good about these long drivers is once you get a feel for it, these are almost like torque sticks. And I just go around until it doesn't squeak anymore, applying the same pressure. That looks good. Damn, that thing is locked up. I think with the, obviously with the 6S power and the wheels and the weight of everything, it you know, trying to move it with the hands, it definitely has a different feel. It'll loosen up once it gets all marinated inside with the gears. So 20 million, that's what I went with on the center diff. See, all I'm trying to do right now is I'm just feeling the bearings and how it rides. And I can't tell if it's my finger hitting, but it looks like this thing is running stinking straight. Not really seeing any deflection. So when I'm spinning it this way, I'm looking past the gears onto the paper towel. So technically for my eyes, the gears are out of focus, the paper towel's in focus. I mean, no, sorry. The paper towel is out of focus, the gears are in focus. And I'm picking like a spot. It's not like... I feel an odd wobble. But I can't tell if it could be my finger hitting that. So, just give this gear a little check. I'm sure it's fine. Yeah. I wasn't going to go anywhere. Yeah, this thing is mint. Don't forget to put in your little thing there. Whatever the heck you want to call that. Your little O-ring. It's like a little drive shaft bumper. 36 piece. I'm really surprised on what I'm seeing as far as the quality. I actually think this is great. Like I said, bearings feel good. Things looked, you know, a little maybe excessively pukey inside. A little bit extra metal. I did take a vacuum, and I did vacuum out this area where I felt it was important. I might hit it again, but that was very painless. I feel that was a very painless job to do. So, a lot of pieces, and keep in mind which way shims are. Like I said, there is a shim on this side. I'm not exactly sure why, but there was a shim on there. I'm not really feeling any motion. Not really. The slightest bit. Slightest bit of separation inside, which is what you want to feel. So, I don't know, man. I think this is stiff now. This is very stiff. Even though, yeah, see, it even freed up just a little bit just by doing that. Once the power is applied, I'm sure this is going to be fine. Just keep in mind, though, this is kind of, in a way, I think, doing some damage. I think. It feels that way, or sounds that way, or looks that way in my mind when you put such a heavy fluid in there. But I wanted to try... I just wanted to try this fluid here. So let's go and put this thing back together. Because it looks like it's like right there. So that's in. Flex the wings. That's it. There's literally just the wings getting caught. So I'm going to go ahead and put that cover on. That's why it wasn't going in right. I didn't have this cover on. I'm being an idiot. All right, so install this into here. Grab my little cover here. Just gotta clean this out. So this cover is going this way, like that. This is where I've got to be careful not to over tighten. Just a tweak by hand. Feels good. I already know that side's mint. If anything, that side was a little tight. Go ahead and put my bearing retainer cap in place. And it's going that side. So I think it's flat side in, or bearing side in. Kind of locks in. Kind of locks in, but doesn't when your screw is buried into plastic. See, just like that. I believe. Touch this real easy. Now, placing this in place. This is the part that's kind of a little bit of a pain in the neck. I think I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it this way first while you watch me struggle. See if I can get that to go in. See, what happens is two things need to happen. The gear obviously needs to mesh in, and these wings need to be kind of like out of the way. So, let's see if I can get that top plate in there. Get the wing out of the way. And give it a mesh. Here we go. Now, I feel like that's in place. So I'm going to go ahead, take my brace, and I'm going to put my brace in place right now. Because what that's going to do, I feel, is help locate this rear end a little bit. And I'm going to put a screw here, because I've already got the driver for it. Kind of just keeps things kind of located. Now this is where having two drivers is a benefit, because I'm holding the chassis so it doesn't flop. Let's make sure that this is in there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put the other one in, just so it's kind of centered. Ah, that's mint. Oh my god. There we go. Kind of went off without a hitch. Now swap drivers. Make sure I get these little ears in place. Now we had these two screws here, which took a different driver. Go ahead and just place those in place. And then these 4 cap screws. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2. Good going. Crap, these things bite. And where'd the other screw go? Did I lose it? Yeah, I did. Where the heck did it go? It was in my hand. Somehow I lost the other screw. Awesome guy. Good job. Yeah, I don't know. I lost the screw. It was in my hand. Thought it was. Ah, there it is. Now, throw on the rest of the screws. I'm just going to kind of leave this alone. Maybe I should kind of clean it off a little bit while I'm here. That probably torqued a little bit too tight. I could definitely see this piece possibly having an issue. Make sure my strap is okay. Now, like I said, you know what I should be doing though? I really should be thread locking these because I did notice, felt as though they did need a little thread lock. So I am going to go ahead and throw some marinated thread lock on there. Oh, it was way too much. So just put it right on the threads right there. These did feel a little loose. So that's the only reason why I am opting to go ahead and throw some thread lock on there. On the front as well. See if these are loose, because I didn't really do anything with these. Maybe I didn't torque it down. Did kind of have like a loose kind of feeling. And noticing there's a little bit of looseness here. Just gonna check it out. And it was loose. Okay. So that means I gotta check the top as well. So these are what I call like a kingpin style. And that top one was also loose. Okay. So that was loose. Go ahead and I'll put my thread lock right on the threads. Right there. Just like Traxxas. And I should have done it the other way, but that'll work. It's funny, I forget sometimes things are being filmed and it's like, you gotta remember where we are here, or where I am in the filming. Like, if I'm in frame. So, that's good. Not too tight, but tight enough. Check the other side. Make sure I watch out for my puddle of stuff there. Check this one. And this one's not loose, but I am going to just give it a tweak because it almost feels like the top. Oh, it is loose. Never mind. That was a lot loose. Okay. Kingpins are loose. On mine. Give the other side a check. Definitely did feel like this one was loose. Yeah, it is way loose. Okay. Definitely something to keep in mind. It could have been from assembly, I'm not sure. Here, I should check this one. That's fine. The other one was loose. Check this. Tight. Loose. Tight, tight. Got a tweak. Tweak. Okay. So, like I said, kingpins on mine were loose. Wheel nut. A little bit of stuff. Make sure the knurled side is facing. I think I've got to elevate my Alexa thing. I don't want the screen, because right now I can see the back tires up against the screen, and I don't want the screen getting destroyed. Alright, so this one, did I already put thread lock on there? I can't remember. And no, I didn't. So that's that other side. A little bit of thread lock. There we go. So I think, I do believe that's going to be the ticket for this thing. Everything's all tightened up. We're good to go. We now are running a 20 million fluid in the center differential. The straps, to be honest with you, I am going to take the straps and I am going to slice into the chassis and bring the straps up. Because running this on 6S, even just that little amount has diminished my strap length. And people were saying, why don't I come up through the thing here? I can. But I just, for some reason, feel I want the strength of the outside of the chassis. So I will end up slotting just this little section. See how it's got like that little section right there? So right here, I will slot the chassis so I can bring the straps up and in. I'll probably just use a like a bit on a Dremel, go in and just route it out, and then do the same exact thing on that side, route that side out too. So yeah, I think the Kaiju's ready to rip again. Don't forget to cap off your stuff. And it was just diving into the center diff, realizing that center diff seems pretty good. And yes, is swedged a word? Yeah, is it the right word? I don't know, man. I feel in my mind the two pieces are swedged together. It sounds right, so that's what I'm gonna say. Swedged. So anyway, this is RC Guy Garage, and I'm going to be out ripping the Kaiju. What are you doing today? If you got the opportunity, I suggest you get out there and just point blank rip it.
Traxxas Max V2 EXT ended versus the Kaiju EXT. I wonder who is gonna sue who first.